The frequency of evaluation and implementing changes is highly dependent on specific organization. So in terms of evaluating what you do, instead of evaluation of each one of those processes and procedures, actually adds value to keep record of those, the total score of how long does it take for us to produce what we do, whether it's a product or service, and in terms of lead time and in terms of the total number of hours that it takes us to produce it or to provide that service. And keep a score of that is quite important, because if you're improving that lead time is getting lower, and the labor hours or the time that you spend for the product or service is getting lower, then you're on the right track. But if you're going the other way around, then that's a pretty good indication for you to actually go back to the board and review the lead time and the process time that it takes for you to complete those processes.
My opinion is there's 3 times you should go and evaluate your processes. Roughly every 3 years. Conveniently, that's your certification cycle. You should review all your processes. Things will change. Even if you don't enter them to, things will change. New things will happen. New people will enter and exit your business. They will have an opinion. Second, if there's a major business change. If you currently build ice cream stands and you decide to go and build motor cars, that's a major business change. You should then go back and reevaluate your processes. Thirdly, if there's a trigger from a non-conformity or an incident or some other event, so they're event-based triggers, review of procedures should always form part of your investigation process for events throughout the system. This ensures that your process doesn't leave it open that the event can happen again. It also allows you to go in a situation to close out loopholes that caused the negative event to happen in the first place.
Implementing changes should be one of those things that just happens ongoing. Anytime you see an improvement, implement a change. Anytime you have a non-conformance and you've done a root cause, implement a change so you don't repeat that root cause. Throughout those processes you'll have regular audits, and again out of those audits you might want to implement changes as you go. So implement them as and when you need them.
Reviewing of processes is often done as part of an internal audit program. It's a very, very good way of being able to evaluate your processes to identify if they remain effective. However, it is important to remember organisations change, processes change. We live in a society where change occurs all the time. Going back 20 years ago, we would not today be doing the same activities, even though our business may still be in the business of providing the same services. We would not be delivering them in the same way as we were, or very rarely, 20 years ago. So businesses change, businesses evolve. Technology is a greater part of business these days. So it's important to recognise when there is change within an organisation. This may include change that occurs outside of your business. For example, where more people may be working from home, where you have a change or a significant change in your supply chain. Possible these changes may drive changes internally on specific processes, and these must be reviewed, and in particular reviewed with the people that undertake the tasks. What pain are they feeling as a result of these changes? Can they suggest something that may be improved? Can they suggest how the process is updated to identify the key steps that now are taken, whereas before these are no longer applicable?
Now, you need to evaluate your processes regularly. Look at the results of your monitoring and all your performance evaluation measures. What is that telling you about the effectiveness of your process? Where are there errors? Where are there breakdowns? Where are there risks in the process? It's telling you some pretty important information there about how you can improve your business, your safety performance, your ability to meet your customer needs, all of those kind of things. Once you've got to that point where it's clear that something could be improved, yes, you should be implementing changes when that occurs, where it's identified that something is a bit of a breakdown point or a bottleneck or an area where the process is affecting our safety performance. Yes, you're going to need to take improvement action on that.
So we want to make sure that this is continuously evaluated, and that's an easy thing to say, but it should be getting looked at pretty often, as far as we should just go back and make sure that these processes are happening the way that they happen. So I think at a minimum every 6 months, you should look at some processes, and you might have a little bit of a rolling process in your internal auditing program where you might look at 2 or 3 processes each month, for example, and then over a 12-month period, everything's going to be looked at once or twice, depending on how big a process it is and how important it is. So you could set up a little bit of a schedule to make sure that these get looked at that sort of frequency. Obviously, if something changes along the way, there's a particular business change, then you have to go back and have a closer look at those processes when those changes are actually made.
So this again is a very interesting question, because some processes, such as a manufacturing process, will have regular checks and balances, quality control criteria, which are evaluated at a regular frequency. So you're going to be able to detect opportunities for improvement more frequently. So you'll be able to have feedback from the evaluation process, and you'll be able to affect change more regularly based on the frequency that you evaluate that particular activity. However, some feedback loops take longer. So as an example, we've got an audit program within our business, and we evaluate the effectiveness of that audit program or that audit process annually, where we have a look at all the audit conclusions against the audit objectives and the risks and the type of accidents or incidents or improvements that have taken place within the business, and we will evaluate that particular process on an annual basis. So again, I don't think there's a hard and fast rule. We'll have a look at how regularly you get feedback on the effectiveness of that process, and when you see opportunities for improvement, you can take them.
If you enjoyed this video, click on the link to view the next compliance conversation.